Hi, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photography talks. So today I want to talk about the camera that you and I need. This is the best camera, the best recommendation I could have for a camera that you need and I need. It's the camera we already have. We don't need new cameras. Sony can put out 61 megapixels or 150 megapixels. When was the last time that anybody printed anything bigger than 20 by 24 or 24 by 36, something like that? Never. We don't need more megapixels. We don't need the ability for something to capture an image in the absolute zero light is a lot of money and a lot of time wasted thinking about cameras that do one little thing, one thing well, that's so infrequently used. It's like when somebody says to me, I have this Leica, but I want to go get it serviced because it doesn't seem like it's shooting right. It seems like it's too long at a half a second. And I'm like, how often do you use a half a second? The things that are getting in the way of photography are sometimes the mechanics. Oh, I want to make sure the camera is absolutely perfect. I want to make sure everything is working up to 100%. And, oh, I could get better performance from this new sensor. And it's like, you know what, none of it matters. What matters is that you photograph your children. What matters is that we photograph the people in our lives and the things that we experience. And the things that, this is probably the most important, the things that we don't think are worth photographing. The things that we think aren't worthy of photographing. The things that we think are insignificant, because those things, with the element of time, become significant. There is a lot of pictures at vacation time. Back in the old film days, the film processors used to say a standard roll of film was snow, sand, snow. And we shot those events, but we didn't shoot the ordinary. And now we have the ability to shoot the ordinary. I think that's so important. There was an example I think I used a few weeks or months ago about photos in my old town that I used to live in. And when I moved there, I photographed all the different businesses and created a website to promote the town. And those photos, 10 years later, people were ecstatic to see, because a lot of those places were places that they would frequent, but they weren't there anymore. That's not the product of great photography. That's a product of great memories and a photograph that can bring back that memory. The things that we think are insignificant, they are significant. They just aren't significant yet. But in 60 years, in 20 years, 40 years, those things change because we've changed. If I didn't photograph my old house, if I didn't photograph my old cars, I wouldn't have records of them to go back to sometime in the future and have an ability to look at those and say, you know what, that's where I was. Oh, that's that way I used to keep that. Oh, hey, look at that car. Oh, I forgot about that dashboard. But when was the last time you photographed your dashboard? And if you have a beat or used car, you might say, well, why would I? But even that is going to look way different than dashboards in 40 years, 20 years, any amount of time going forward. Things are changing so quickly. And we end up with a record of something that it's fun to go back and see. And digital photography, while it's not free, people act like, oh, it's free. It's like, yeah, you buy cameras and computers for a lot of money, but the shooting of it on the expensive card you bought, those photos are actually not quite free, but they're inexpensive to photograph. And once you have that camera, once you have that computer and card setup, you don't need more cameras. You just need to photograph more. And need to document the ordinary. Document kids in the back seat. I've seen some beautiful photographs of children in back seats. And I would bet there are a lot of people who don't have photos like that. And the idea of capturing photographs that matter, that seems like it's not limited to just the photographs that are at the parties and the celebrations and at the vacation time, but it's all the time. And we can do that. And as photographers, it's our job to not only create those photos, but to print some of those, maybe do an annual book that can go in the library shelf, and you actually have a book of that year's snapshots. maybe print some of those and put them in frames, and certainly keep them logged somewhere in a way that they can be found again, because as a friend of mine often says, a photo you can't find is a photograph you don't have. And it's our job, if they're going to last 20, 40, or 60 years or more, we have to have a way to keep them and have a way to make sure that they're found and make sure that they are preserved, they're not lost on old hard drives. The things that we talk about as photographers that other people aren't aware that they're possibly losing photographs. We're aware of it, but it could still happen to us. We don't need new cameras. We need to document and we need to create with what we have and spend that time not looking up the latest lens report or the latest camera report, because none of that really matters. We use that as a great way of distraction and a great way for, spending some time away from shooting like it matters, but it doesn't. And the most important thing is you have every bit as good of a camera as you already need. And it just means go out and use it. Go out and shoot it. Make great art. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. And thanks so much for watching. I look forward to talking photography again with you soon. Here's to great light.